aging, which I know nothing about. I want to thank Jennifer and Julie and Jimmy Ann for the stimulating lessons that they have presented this fall to challenge and provide ways for us to grow and develop a stronger faith, to become a better servant of our Lord, to develop priorities that lead to our ultimate goal of a heavenly home, and live each day as if it were our last. Since I am probably one of the oldest in this room tonight, I told my daughter Jimmy Ann that I am more qualified to teach this lesson than she, since my topic is aging. Aging is a process that everyone in this room is doing every second of our life. I think that on the average, that in this congregation there are several 3-generational families, and I think there are a few 4-generational families. I don't think, or at least I don't know of any 5-generational families in this congregation. You may, but I don't. A generation is usually considered to be about 33 years. The following is the average life cycle of an individual: pregnancy, infancy, toddler, childhood, puberty, which is the beginning of adolescence, older adolescence, adulthood. And adulthood stretches all the way up from about 19 to middle age, and then the seniors. So we do have a life cycle. In the children's book, Love You Forever, and I'm sure most of you have read it or read it to your children, it's one of my very favorites. And the author, Robert Muchen, depicts beautifully the love that is displayed in the cycle of life. In the cycle of life, that includes loving and caring, loving and letting go, loving and caregiving. Now, my dear granddaughter, this is my favorite granddaughter in junior high, or not junior high, but the junior class. And then I have another favorite granddaughter who is a junior at OC. But this favorite granddaughter, since I know absolutely nothing and I can barely tell her on my telephone without her, has made this, is it a video? Or whatever she's made. It's from this book that I like so well, Love You Forever, and we're going to briefly go through it. So Kinley, dear, get going with your magic.
Okay.
As mother held her new baby and very slowly rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she held him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The baby grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was 2 years old, and he ran all around the house. He pulled all the books off the shelves. He pulled all the food out of the refrigerator. And he took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. Sometimes his mother would say, this kid is driving me crazy. But at nighttime, when the 2-year-old was quiet, she opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of his bed, and if he was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. While she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The little boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. And he grew until he was 9 years old. And he never wanted to come in for dinner. He never wanted to take a bath. And when Grandma visited, he always said bad words. Sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to the zoo. But at nighttime, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed. If he was really asleep, she picked up that 9-year-old and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, he sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a teenager. He had strange friends and he wore strange clothes and he listened to strange music. Sometimes the mother felt like she was in a zoo. But at nighttime, when the teenager was asleep, the mother opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed. If he was really asleep, she picked up that great big boy and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. While she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The teenager grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a grown man. He left home and got a house across town. But sometimes on dark nights, the mother got into her car and drove across town. If all the lights in the son's house were out, she opened his bedroom window, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of his bed. If that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, and as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, the mother, she got older. She got older and older and older. One day she called up her son and said, you better come see me because I'm very old and sick. So her son came to see her. When he came to the door, she tried to sing the song. She sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. But she could not finish because she was too old and sick. The son went to his mother. He picked her up and rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he sang this song, I'll love you forever, I'll like you always. As long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be. When the son came home at night, he stood for a long time at the top of the stairs. Then he went into the room where his very new baby daughter, his arms, and very slowly rocked her back and forth, back and forth. And while he rocked her, he sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be.
You want, Mama, you want the water?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Well, that still brings tears to my eyes. We ate at Chick-fil-A. So, Kinley, if you want to go on back to your class, you may.
Thank you, Kinley.
Yeah. So, there's the one that I rocked, and guess who's going to be rocking me in a few years? Okay, but now as we go on, I have two little gifts here, and if you happen to fall in this age span of these presidents, then I'm going to give you a little gift. I want to know if anyone in here was born when Woodrow Wilson was president. Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Franklin Roosevelt.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Franklin
Two.
Roosevelt.
2.
32 through 45, come on.
All right, 30. I've got 33, I won't argue with you,
Well,
but 33
inauguration,
through 45.
he was elected.
Okay, all of those that were in the Franklin Roosevelt, raise your hand high.
We got
1, 2, 3.
4.
Oh, 4.
5. 1,
Five.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, we're going to start with 33.
Who was born then?
Him 33.
Who was born?
34.
44.
No, 44.
34.
34. 35. 36. 37. 38. Woo!
Yeah.
There you go, dear.
Barbara.
I would ask you to get up, but you're older than I am.
1938.
Barbara, when's your birthday? When's your birthday?
She didn't hear you.
Oh,
Of 1938?
okay, well, we've got that taken care of. Well, I'm just gonna run through the rest. Okay, Harry Truman, Dwight Eisenhower, John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter,
Lyndon Johnson, 65.
Ronald Reagan,
No,
Daddy Bush, George Daddy Bush.
are we alive or born now?
Born.
I've been alive since Johnson.
Born.
You can put your hands down.
Put your hand down. You're not gonna win.
So we're looking for the youngest now.
Yes.
Yeah, William Clinton,
Might be Becca. Might be Becca.
George W. Bush.
So these
All
two
right,
is probably
George
between
W.
these
Bush
two.
was from
Madison.
2001 to 2009. Okay, who was born in 2009? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
2002. 2002.
He was
2,
born in 2000.
2002,
We're not 2000. No. He was 2000.
2001,
Keep one more.
2000.
There we go.
All right, 2 born in 2000. Oh,
But
okay.
wait, what month? What month?
There's no ties.
Okay, what month?
So Jordan.
December.
So you're the youngest.
So
Well done. Well done.
We just talked about it on Tuesday. Yeah.
Jennifer, you are wanting to win.
Okay.
Too bad.
Now we shall go on. Growing old is a fact of life. But when does growing old stop and growing old start? However, there are some signs we can read along life's journey that suggest we are entering the transition, such as our friends tell us how young we look, or other signs such as in this senior version of My Favorite Things. Maylocks and nose drops, and needles for knittings, walker and handrails, and new dental fittings, bundles of magazines tied in string. These are a few of my favorite things. Cadillacs and cataracts, and hearing aids and glasses, Polident and Fixodent and false teeth and glasses, pacemakers, golf carts, and porches with swings. These are a few of my favorite things. When the pipes leak, when the bones creak, when the knees go bad, I remember my favorite things, and I don't feel so bad. hot tea and crumpets, corn pads for bunions. No spicy hot foods or foods cooked with onions, bathrobes and heat pads and hot meals they bring. These are a few of my favorite things: back pains, confused brains, and no fear of sinning, thin bones and fractures and hair that is thinning. And we don't mention our short, shrunken frames when we remember our favorite things. When the joints ache, when the hips break, when the eyes grow dim, then I remember the great life I've had, and then I don't feel so bad. Excuse me. Robert Browning penned this classic, "Grow old along with me. The best is yet to be. The last of life, for which the first was made. Our times, all in his hand. Who saith, a whole I planned. Youth shows but half. Trust God. See all, nor be afraid." So how old are you? Can you comfortably tell others what age you are? One woman responded to such a question by signing and saying, "I just had my 40th wedding anniversary on my 39th birthday." Why do we freely ask this question of a child? But once we are past the 30-year mark, the topic is often avoided in adult conversation. I told my dear husband one time, you never ask a woman 3 questions: her age, her weight, and her salary. So is avoidance of not telling our age a symptom of fear of growing old? So how old is old anyway? Take a moment to decide on an age that you feel is generally accepted as the entry into old age. So tell me, somebody.
15 years older than whatever you are.
Right, right.
15 years older than whatever you are.
15 years old. Well, honey, that's old. Any other ideas on what you think old age is?
100.
100, okay.
I say 80.
80, oh, you guessed it, right on the nose. Was that Eilena?
Yeah.
Another response to the question about one's age is, I feel much younger than my years. If we sidestep our chronological age by quickly confirming how young we feel, at what chronological age will you be old to yourself? Take a moment to think about the age at which you will consider yourself old. Anybody want to volunteer? What are a few stereotypes associated with old age? Anybody want to give me a stereotype of what people say about old age? No nervous, no people with the nerve to come forth and say, well, how about rocking chairs?
Patty said something.
Senility.
I'm sorry?
Senility.
Senility.
Yes, senility.
Hearing.
have written down here rocking chairs, wisdom, loneliness, illness, cranky, forgetfulness, senility. What do these words suggest about our own and our society's attitude toward old age? How does our society really feel about old age?
Negatively.
I'm sorry?
Negatively.
Negatively. Everything is geared toward the younger. You know, I used to love to go shopping. And several reasons why I don't now. One is because I don't have that much energy, and two, my bank account's kind of dwindling. But I go into a store now, everything's sleeveless. Now, I used to make fun of my dear friend Hester Kelsey, and I'm not going to buy anything unless it has sleeves. And I would say, Hester, why? Well, now I know why. And you know this, the other day, I hate to exercise, I despise it. And this thing right there, my daughter, excuse me, Jimmy M. Mama, you gotta move, you gotta move. Mama, did you go swimming? Did you go walk today? Mama, did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I finally have found one thing that I kind of like to do as far as exercise. And that's go over to the Y at the pool and pool walk. One reason I like it, there's no 20-year-olds with a $100 outfit that looks like they're a Barbie doll, and I'm there with my doughboy legs. Well, the other day I had a new, beautiful swimsuit that I ordered from Land's End. They make the modest old folks swimsuits. And listen, girls, some of you girls have never probably heard a sermon on mixed bathing or mixed swimming, but I have many times. And another thing, back when we worshiped at Wilshire, we always took the youth group and the young singles to the lake to water ski and swim. So one of the elders asked my husband, he said, do y'all go to the lake and mix bathe? And my husband said, oh no, we just go and water ski and swim. So the elder was satisfied. But anyway, back to me. I had this beautiful, I thought, modest swimsuit. So I wore it over there, and one of the young little gals came up and says, oh, I like your dress. I said, well, thank you. It's swimmable. And fashion does change. I did see this, maybe some of you saw it on Facebook. That's the only thing I know how to get onto. But they had a picture of the Miss America contestants back in the 50s when they had on their swimsuits. And it said, the caption was, this is like their formals that they wear in 2022. I thought that was pretty good, but I hear no laughs. All right, the Old Testament Hebrew word meaning old has a variety of, I'm running out of time, of associations. In Leviticus 19, old age means beard on a chin. Genesis 48:10, one who has a beard. 1 Samuel 28:14, old man or elder or man full of days. Does our perspective on feeling old have anything to do with our society's stereotypes about old? I think so. You know, in 1900, the lifespan of an individual was 47.3 years. 37 was old. Today, 37 is prime. In 1970, the lifespan was 70.8 years. The life expectancy of a female today in 2022 is 81.8 years. And I read recently that that is going down somewhat. If one lives to be 85, they will have lived 31,025 days. I was born February 12th, 1942. Today is November 2nd, 2022. I have lived 29,721 days. Of my 29,000 plus days, have I lived each day for eternity? Or as stated in 1 Corinthians 5, 9 through 10, our aim each day is to please our Lord, for we must appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each one may receive what is due for what he has done in the body, good or bad. Ladies, what are you doing each day to live for the Lord? This article is so benefiting for all of us, so take a time to ponder. And then it is winter. You know, time has a way of moving quickly and catching you unaware of the passing years. It seems like yesterday that I was young, just married and embarking on my life with my new mate. Yet in a way, it seems like eons ago. And I wonder where all those years went. I know that I lived them all. I have glimpses of how it was back then and all of my hopes and dreams. But here it is, the winter of my life. And it catches me by surprise. How did I get here so fast? Where did the years go? And where did my youth go? I remember well through the years and thinking that those older folks were years away from me, and that winter was so far off that I could not fathom it or imagine fully what it would be like. But here it is. My friends are retired, and they move slower, and I see an older person in myself. Now, some are in better shape, and some in worse shape than me. But I see the great change, not like the ones that I remember who were young and vibrant, but like me, their age is beginning to show. And now, we are those older folks that we used to see and thought we would never be. I used to remember looking at the old ladies on the back row at church, and now I am one. Each day now, I find that just getting a shower sometimes is a real target for the day. And taking a nap is not a treat anymore, it's basically mandatory. Because if I don't, on my own free will, sometimes I just fall asleep where I'm sitting. And so, now I enter this new season of my life, unprepared for all the aches and pains and the loss of strength and the ability to do things that I wish I had done, but never did. But at least I know that though the winter has come, and I am not sure when it will be over, but this I know, that when it is over on this earth, it's over. A new adventure will begin. Yes, I have many regrets. There are some things I wish I had done or had not done. But there are so many things I am so happy to have done. It's all in a lifetime. So if you are not in your winter yet, let me remind you that it will be here, faster than you think. So whatever you would like to accomplish, please do it quickly. Do not put things off too long. Life goes by quickly. So what you can do today, as you can never be sure whether this is winter or not. You have no promise that you will live all the seasons of your life. So live for today and say all the things that you want your loved ones to remember, and hope that they will appreciate and love you for all the things that you have done for them in all the years past. Life is a gift to you. The way you live your life is a gift to those who come after you. Make it a fantastic one. I wanted us to turn to Psalms 90. And hopefully we have a little bit of time to finish this up. I'm going to lock the doors because we're going to finish this whether we run out of time or not, work too long on it. The psalmist states in Psalms 90 that one can expect to live for 70 or 80 years. The psalmist represents a more realistic attitude for the time frame than some of the older patriarchs, such as Methuselah was 969, Moses was 120 years. In Psalms 90, one can expect to live for 70 to 80 years. I want us to turn to Psalms 90, and I want us to look briefly at, starting at verse 1. It says, Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You return man to dust and say, Return, O children of man, for 1,000 years in your sight are but as yesterday when it is past, or as a watch in the night. You sweep them away as with a flood. They are like a dream, like grass that is renewed in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and is renewed. In the evening it fades and withers. We are brought to an end by our anger, by your wrath we are dismayed. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. For all of our days pass away under your wrath. We bring our years to an end like a sigh. The years of our life are 70, or even by reason of strength 80. Yet their span is but toil and trouble. They are gone, and we fly away. There is a hymn that was written about 1929 by Albert Brumley, strong member of the church. And this hymn has probably been one of the most recorded hymns of all time. And I want Debbie to lead the first verse, and we're all going to sing the first verse of I'll Fly Away.
Some glad morning when this life is o'er, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away.
I used to not like that hymn, but I love it now because we all going to fly away. You know, Psalms 90 is the oldest psalm, and it was written by Moses while the children of Israel were wandering in the wilderness. And you know, they wandered for 40 years because of sin, disobedience, and lack of faith. 12 spies were sent into the promised land, and they came back. 10 of them were very pessimistic. They said, no, we can't go. We cannot conquer it. They lost faith. They said, the people are giants and we're like ants. But 2, Caleb and Joshua, were able to enter the promised land. God was very disappointed, very displeased because of their lack of faith and their disobedience. And he made them wander for 40 years in the wilderness, 1 year for each day. That would be 40 years. And all of those over 20 years old would not make it into the promised land except Caleb and Joshua. So just think how many Israelites died. Over 1 million in 40 years, about half of the population. The Israelites were experiencing 70 to 80 funerals a day. Our present day living experiences are different than that of Moses and the children of Israel. However, as stated in Psalms 90, verse 12, teach us to number our days and live as if it were our last. Perhaps Moses' prayer in Psalm 90 can offer some insights into our aging and mortality. Moses approaches mortality from the viewpoint of God's eternity. Psalms 90 is a song of wisdom. It teaches us how to live and relate to God. It is about time, our time. Truth is, friends, time flies. Life is short. The focal point of the Psalms, particularly verses 2 through 6, is God's eternity set against the transience of human life. People, us, are returned to dust. A person's life is but the smallest span of time known in those days and referred to as a watch in the night. A person's life is like grass which fades and withers at the end of the day. How insignificant the reader of these verses is made to feel. Psalms 90 shows us a new phenomenon, and that is the moral issue. As we look at verses 7 through 12, if people long to live forever, to reject their finitude, then it appears that God will consume them in anger. In these verses, God seems to be an infinite enemy. God's judgment seems to be harsh and unfair. Isn't it by our very own nature that we strive to live forever? But when faced with death, the hope of immortality pales for some and causes life to seem profoundly disappointing. This profound disappointment may be one image you have of older adults. Exerting one's will to control longevity is futile. God's ultimate power and the limits upon our own power are clear. The poet does not end with the pessimistic commentary of life in us. In verses 7 to 12, it says, the utter despair of not being able to control one's lifespan then enables a person to God's offer of everlasting purpose in life. One's hope in one's own strength is dismissed. One can find faith in God. Positive life in God uncovers the knowledge of the true gift. So verse 12 again says, so teach us to number our days so that we may get a heart of wisdom. And we must know God in an intense, personal way through faith, prayer, service, forgiveness, joy, virtue, kindness, self-control, knowledge, love. We have to show up. We have to choose to be present. We have to pay attention to what has heart and meaning. We have an open heart. An open heart does not scream or yell or hit or have angry outbursts. We have to listen to others. We have to accept and understand others. We have to love all ethnic groups or races and get to know others and do not judge. With a deep faith and a personal relationship with God, we will continually build walls of fear and anxiety about aging and dying. In verses 13 through 17, this section is a powerful affirmation of God's grace and forgiveness. Transformation means to move from a life filled with fear and waiting to a life with present meaning, active purpose, daily striving for deep joy. God does not promise to balance gladness with pain. God does promise the grace to heal wounds and transcends guilt. When we consider aspects of life at any chronological age, many factors are involved. We can speak of our physical, intellectual, and emotional age in addition to our chronological age. We are many different ages, and the older we are, the wider the spread between our various ages can become. It would be difficult to determine how old we are in all these ways, but we should keep in mind 5 types of ages: chronological, biological, social, psychological, and your self-age. How old you feel. Can you look forward to an old age as a continuation and an integration of all that has been and is now in your life? Can you look at old age as an affirmation of God's infinite, joyous gift to receive? And then I'm going to close with this little reading. Barely arrived, and on Monday, and it's already Friday. And the month is already over, and the year is almost over. And already 30, 40, 50, or 60 years of our lives have passed. And we realize that we lost our parents, our spouse, our friends. And we realize that it's too late to go back. So let's try, despite everything, to enjoy the remaining time. Let's keep looking for activities that we like. Let's smile at the little things in life that puts balm in our hearts. And despite everything, we must continue to enjoy with serenity this time we have left. Let's try to eliminate the afters. I'll do it after. I'll say it after. I'll think about it after. We leave everything for after. Like, after is ours. Because we don't know or understand is that afterwards, the coffee gets cold. Afterwards, priorities change. Afterwards, the charm is broken. Afterwards, health passes. Afterwards, kids grow up. Afterwards, parents get old. Afterwards, promises are broken. Afterwards, the days become night. Afterwards, life ends. And then it's too late. So let's leave nothing for later, because still wanting to see later, we can lose the best moments, the best experiences, the best friends, the best family. The day is today. The moment is now. We are no longer at the age where we can afford to postpone what needs to be done right away. It looks like an eternity, but it's a short trip. Enjoy life, do justice, and love kindness, and walk humbly with your God. Thank you for coming. Thank you for